All right, and thanks for tuning in this video. Have been a lot of creativity lately and a lot of inspiration coming to me, but that's just kind of the nature of the energy right now. So, a couple things I wanted to talk about, and one of them is I was reading Charles Fillmore's Metaphysical Dictionary today, and I've done quite a few videos on the story of Adam and Eve recently. If you want to look at my divine feminine versus divine feminine and divine masculine video, and even the I am video that I just did, you'll understand that. But going into the story of Adam and kind of talking about the Adam and his ills, so to speak. And one of them is that Adam really, when you think about this, they were really kind of corrupt in their ideas of being satisfied and nourished by just the physical, by consuming drink and food and all that kind of stuff and the pleasures of this physical reality. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But the soul alone and the body alone cannot be nourished just by material pleasures or carnal pleasures, so to speak. Nothing wrong with them, but it also takes us out of balance. And so the next part of this is when you think about Adam, the man, the metaphor of being transformed into a different state of being. And so this is of the renewing of your mind, so to speak, which is talked about in Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And what is this all about? This is talking about when you start renewing your mind into an idea of spiritual energy, metaphysical energy, that Christ consciousness, that I am presence that is within, that I was talking about in my other videos. This is where you start renewing your mind. And you start renewing your mind by looking within and looking at the answers, because all your answers you need to your questions are within you. And so, there's nothing wrong with going to a healer like me or somebody that will help guide you to your own answers. But when we rely on somebody outside of ourselves to give us all of our answers and we don't make decisions, discernful or critical thinking decisions for ourselves, then that becomes kind of problematic. And it's one of those things where, then our life could be in a mess because we're basing it on other people's experiences and their wisdom, so to speak. Like I said, nothing wrong with going to people and gaining their wisdom for perspective on what to do. Obviously, that is something that all of us do at some point. I've done it in my lifetime. I've had mentors and things like that. But the ultimate, a mentor should be guiding you to find your own answers and guiding you to find that optimal life for yourself and through what you feel positive about or what you feel is a good path for you. So, but oftentimes I hear people saying, I went to my psychic and they told me and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Or I went to my Christian minister or my minister or my guru and they give me these answers of what I should be doing. And the truth is you're missing the point of how you grow as an individual. And so here's this story of Adam where he's living just kind of in the carnal pleasures, but then when he renews his mind and he transforms into something different, this is to kind of tell us that he's done the practice, he's done the inner work, and how is that done? So your body and our minds are full of anxiety and fear. It's through those things where we're constantly in contact with people, constantly have stimulus around us that is just here in Florida, we had a hurricane that happened this week. So a lot of people's anxiety was up and, rightfully so. I mean, that could put your life in danger and stuff like that. And anxiety in that sense where it's saying, get up and do something or get quiet and listen or, at least prepare your house for whatever and make sure that you have water and food to sustain your life if something happens. There's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. That's motivating you to do the necessary things, the steps in this third dimensional or physical world to help you sustain your life. And being foolish is not necessarily spiritual, so to speak. But, we kind of continue on this conversation where I've talked about the divine masculine, divine feminine. We tend to suppress one side. And typically, a lot of times, it's the divine feminine, that creative side, that intuitive side that's saying, hey, try going in this direction. Hey, try going in this direction. And then, or we suppress the other side where we're like thinking, I way overthink things and, don't be silly and all that kind of stuff. And, and we think that we're overthinking too much. there's a balance between both, and that's kind of what I want to chat about today. Is what this is kind of leading into, is a balance of both. In Matthew 7, it talks about the narrow path, and it's basically talking about there is a path that everybody takes, and it's wide, and everybody takes it. But then there's a narrow path that basically is one that very few take. Well, what is that about? It's basically about, if you ever see the yin and yang, and there's an image that I'm going to put up here on the video. If you ever see the yin and yang, there is a energy or a line between that light side and that dark side. And then I'm also going to show this image of the Garden of Eden. And on that particular image, it shows you the dark and the light side, and it shows the divine feminine, divine masculine, which is Adam and Eve, and then it shows you the higher realms, which has the angel, and then the serpents down below, so to speak. And what is that all about? It's about that temptation that's within you, the serpent, or the dark or shadow side, the unknown, so to speak, and then that light side that's very visible and helps us grow, that helps us see things from that truth perspective, so to speak. So what happens? This tug, what's happened in this world is we've literally oppressed or suppressed one side. So there's always this tug, pull, tug, pull, tug, pull. It's not supposed to be a tug, pull. It's supposed to be like a dance. And if you've ever seen the symbol of Pisces, it's the two fish, and they're flowing together. And they're not pulling away from each other. They're not pulling and basically resisting each other. They're in this dance or this flow between both. And so this is where, these things come in. So there's nothing wrong with the carnal physical pleasures. And we also want to step into that higher mind by renewing the mind. But when you renew the mind, you're going to know that, hey, I'm in this dance. And that's why, the Christians teach, let go and let God, allow yourself, allow God to, Jesus Christ to be in your presence and fill you up and that kind of stuff. What they're talking about, and a lot of times it's just words from them. It's not necessarily a feeling, but the ones that really do the work, whether even in paganism and Wicca, when they do rituals, they don't say sit there and do the ritual of what you want to create, and then they say obsess about it, like praying. You don't pray for whatever it is you're praying for and then obsess about it. You pray, or you do the ritual, and then you let it go. Why do you let it go? Because what ends up happening is that the energy of constantly worrying, is this going to happen? Is this going to be a part of what my reality? All that kind of stuff. That kind of pushes things off. It pushes things off. But if you put it out there and you kind of do this, what I was talking about, this flow or this dance of this energy between both, then what's going to happen is you're going to start to see things just come in the timing that you're supposed to have them. But we sit there and we go, but I want it now. You're not ready for it yet. And if you got it right now, then you wouldn't appreciate it. And so, but if you got it in the right and perfect time, and you did the lessons and built your energy and your frequency up to that place, then you're really going to start seeing real results in your life. And sometimes things happen in our life that feel like they really, really suck. But they're preparing us for the next stage of our evolution as a being or as a person. So sometimes things that don't really feel really good. I remember years ago, I was the vice president of operations of a mortgage company, and I lost that job. And I went through several years of a lot of grief over that, but it propelled me into a life that was a lot happier for me. And I felt more authentic, more in alignment with who I am, those kind of things. I know everybody can relate to this, because really what this energy is about is that you can either resist or you can fall into flow. And when you fall into flow, then you are walking that narrow path. You're in this dance, so to speak, with the divine. You're in this dance with the energy of the universe, so to speak. And when you're in that dance, then you'll really start to see changes in your life, and you won't feel all the stress and anxiety that we always have, because a lot of our stress and anxiety is due to our attachments to the end result. So, and then some people will say, well, do I not have goals? I'm like, well, of course you have goals. And don't be so attached to them that they can't change or evolve over time, because what you think is important right now may not be important in a year from now or 6 months from now or 10 years from now. So you have to be open to the idea that things can change, and your perceptions of the way things are changed, or that the universe knows, or your higher consciousness, it's not separate from you. The higher consciousness within you sees something from a different perspective for you. So those are some things to start to take a look at. But how do you start doing that? Well, you start doing, and you start saying, I am now. You start saying, my divine plan is manifesting right now. You can say, I am in flow with my divine plan. And you could say things like, it's time for me to dance in my divine plan with my highest and best good. You can start just saying anything like that, but it's really just saying, I want to be in alignment with my divine plan. And then you start holding yourself accountable for that, and start looking at, well, am I stressing out or am I worrying? And then say, well, I have to worry because I have to take care of things in this life. Well, you'll know when your mind is renewed, you'll know where you need to be, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and it just kind of comes to you when you do it, and you'll know what to act upon, and you'll know what to do. And sometimes there may be things that you don't really want to do at that moment, but just know that your divine plan is manifesting. It's going to be amazing, and you're going into a direction. So you're going to a direction that's going to be your optimal life. Why is that important? Because I could sit there and say, well, I really want to do this, but then my higher consciousness says, yeah, that's pretty cool, but I have something that's going to be really incredible for you. And so what messes people up is because we can't see it. It feels like it's separate from us, but it's not. The divine energy is very much within us. It is, our temple is within, the kingdom of God is within us. And it also talks about those who inherit the kingdom of heaven are childlike. Well, why is that important? Well, the ones that are more childlike or act in those moments, they laugh, they have fun, they enjoy themselves. And it's really interesting because part of what I wanted to chat about today is talking about the show Lucifer. I've watched 2 shows recently that I thought were very interesting. One was Lucifer, and I was very much in resistance to watching this, obviously, because of the name. But when I started watching it and started watching the lessons behind it, and I found it very interesting that he said, I never torment everybody. I never do that. And they torment themselves. They create their hell themselves, and they don't realize that they can leave at any time they want to. But he said that, but he didn't realize that he could leave at any time he wanted to. And there was one very important thing. It was here. It was in the heart. He was too much in his head all the time. He wasn't in the heart. There wasn't a balance between that 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. And because there wasn't a balance, he felt trapped in hell. And really, he was his own worst enemy. In the word Satan, that's what it is, enemy. So it really is a metaphor about, hey, you can live in hell or you can live in balance in heaven. And that's really what that's all about, is that balance between both. We don't a balance between the dark and the light, because dark is not evil. It's just unknown because you can't see it. So everybody's always all about, oh, love and light, love and light. And I have no problems with love and even light, all that kind of stuff. But you have to make sure that it's in balance. Does that make sense? So it's just one of those things where you have to start looking at that. So Lucifer is one of those shows where you start looking at that and you go, huh. So he didn't have to be there at all. And he was always mad at his father. So he was a man with daddy issues, so to speak. And his dad really just didn't say a whole lot because he wanted him to see this for himself. Because if his dad did it for him, for those of you that are parents out there, if he did it for them, as parents that there's things that they're just not going to see. Because if you do it for them, then they're going to constantly rely on you instead of making their own decisions, much like I was talking about earlier in this video, going to your minister and going to a psychic or all these other people and only following what they do or what they say instead of following your own instincts of what's going on in you. So that was one show talking about Lucifer, but there's another one called Live to 100. It's talking about the secrets of the blue zones in the world. So the blue zones, basically, what it's talking about is areas where people live on an average 80, 90, into their hundreds, and that kind of stuff. What's the secrets behind this? Well, one of the secrets behind it is they laugh, they enjoy themselves, they are in communion with nature, they are out there doing things, they are eating better, that kind of stuff. And part of the thing with the American diet or the Western diet, the reason why it's so toxic for us is not just because it's all processed foods, it's also because we eat on the go. We eat on the go. we get on the go and we're not in balance with who we are and what is the most healthy for us, because you have to have a healthy mind and you have to have a healthy balance with the heart. And when you have that, you'll start changing it. And so one of the things I saw with all these people in this show is I saw people in balance with life, so to speak. They were living. And if you really look at the word evil, evil is live spelled backwards. And what I want you to really start looking at is all the judgments, because we all have them, the judgments we have of other people. And our one finger pointing out in judgment, three pointing back at you. Why is that so important? Well, when you really think about it, that causes a lot of stress. I know you guys can relate to this. I don't know why these young people just won't listen, or the people in this world, they're crazy. They're just very selfish. I went through that a little bit just this week when I started looking at all the water and everything, and people were going crazy over the hurricane and stuff like that. But instead of getting angry, let's start just feeling compassion for them, because they're terrified. And it doesn't matter what that is, even if they're driving down the road and they cut you off in traffic, there's something that's making their mind move so fast that they have to be like that. So have compassion for them, and instead of, here's the thing, because the ego will say, no, they almost cut me off and they were rude. Well, maybe, but here's the thing. The limbic brain does not know any difference of when you are showing anger towards other people. All it feels is anger inside of yourself. So you can just imagine sustained toxic energy like that in your body is not healthy for your body. So I really want you to start thinking about that. Instead of just saying, it doesn't mean you don't speak the truth. It doesn't mean you're a pushover. It means that you literally start looking at things and saying, when you do speak up, you speak with compassion. And like if you see somebody, it's like, hey, you really kind of cut me off in traffic, and that's really not okay. And they could blow up at you or whatever. But if you felt the need to say it, you'd say it in a way that says, hey, that's really not okay. I'm not cool with that. And you're saying it in a way where it's not, you don't have this swelled up anger in you, but you still spoke the truth. And that's the kind of thing, like with you set boundaries with your kids or your friends or whatever. You can say things like, hey, when you did that, that was just, that didn't really feel good. I don't really appreciate that. So you just kind of have to start speaking up, but you don't have to do it in anger. My suggestion with those things is take time, calm down, then speak about it. And get clear about really what is bothering you. And so that's that balance between that yin and yang, so to speak, because if we're a pushover, that's not okay either. But speaking and sustaining anger in our body, that's not okay for us either. So just some things to think about. Hope everybody is having an amazing, we're now in September, so this is going to be great. So Virgo season, so to speak, and many blessings to everybody. Goodbye.